Hey guys, my name is Benny. Welcome to my whatever these guys are called, Hammerfall Peon guide. Okay, you get about 30,000 doing this, about 3/4 efficiency. You get about 30,000 experience per hour at level 34. Probably about between 4 and 5 raw gold an hour if you vendor all of the items, and you get a bunch of silk as well, which you can also sell for a decent amount of profit. So probably about like, I'd say about 10 gold per hour. Give or take a couple, and maybe more if you get decent drops. Anyway, stat-wise in requirements, I would recommend having no less than 2750 mana when you do this farm, and about 800 health. The gear is pretty easy to come up with. I bought Elder's Pants of the Eagle, Twilight Gloves of the Owl, Conjurer's Hood of the Owl. Of the Owl items give Intellect and Spirit, which is nice for helping your mana regen faster when you're eating. And of the Eagle items give you Intellect and Stamina. They weren't super expensive, and if you've been AoE farming, you should have plenty of gold. I've already farmed over like 150 gold, and I've only played WoW for a week. So my rings are mediocre, and my talisman is pretty bad, so don't pay attention to that. I did Scarlet Monastery for this illusionary rod, which requires level 34, so you can't actually wear it when you start this farm at 33. But you don't have to have a staff this good. This just makes it easier. And the Bright Bracers are pretty bad, but it was just the best thing I could find on the auction house at the time, and I can't craft any right now. So the rest of my gear is actually just crafted by me. Spider silk boots, crimson silk belt, green silken shoulders, long silken cloak, and azure silk vest. All come in handy. If you're a gnome, you shouldn't have any mana issues at all because you get the mana boost from the race. So that's nice. So the gear is pretty easy to come by. Always have some potions available. They're pretty cheap, and they can save your life and definitely increase your experience per hour, and they come in clutch when you need them. I don't really use the mana potions as much because you should always have a mana agate available to you, and I like to go ahead and conjure enough food and water for the entire hour because you don't want to just be sitting there wasting time restoring your mana multiple times. It'll also mess up your spawn timings. I always like to come in at the top here. Normally a lot of people would probably come in here at the side because if you come in from wetlands or the travel path, that's where you end up. But I like to run around to the top side here because I like to clear this bottom farm first and then move on to the top side, which we will demonstrate how to do that. Normally, you'll want to lure this guy first because we're going to do our blizzard around this area. And if you're sitting there doing it and this guy comes up, then he's going to completely mess you up. Okay, so make sure you're buffed up. And we're going to go ahead and just run over here and lure this guy. This is just for the start, so we'll wait till he catches up. When you're a beginner, I would recommend only luring about 3 at a time until you get good at it. Okay, here he comes. So once he gets close, we're going to just lure these 4 right here on the edge. What the hell? He just ran away. Okay, that must not be the right guy. Normally there's a guy coming through. That was the wrong one, but that's okay. You get the point. Okay, so we do it here because this guy's not going to get close enough to mess us up. You don't only lure the people in the middle. You want to lure see the guys walking on the side. If you don't lure them as well, then they're going to run at you and completely mess up your lures while you're blizzarding. So 2 blizzards as they're running at you the first time. The second time, after you freeze them, you don't have to run very far because you're going to finish them off with this blizzard, a cone of code, and between 1 and 3 arcane explosions. Just depends on your damage that you've dealt. So there's the first one, and it's as easy as that. Okay, I've been doing this for a few hours now, so I've gotten pretty good at it. And then the next one, we're going to lure these 4, and this one, and this guy. Okay, unless he's over there. Okay, if that guy's over there, then we don't have to worry about that either. But if they're around, you always want to lure. See how he turns around? So what we're going to actually do is we're going to go ahead and shield up, and then I'm actually going to run straight for this guy on the edge. Okay. And that's the only one we're going to lure with our wand because see how these have a pretty large aggro range. So these guys, you just run and then we'll just turn around back towards them. And then I'm going to blink back into this area that I just cleared because there's no chance anything's going to bug me. Okay. So once you're far enough away, I'll already have your blizzard ready. 2 blizzards. If you don't get far enough away, you can use a lower blizzard if you don't think you're going to make it through the entire blizzard. Going to freeze again, just take a few steps away. Use your other blizzard. Cone of Code, a couple Arcane Explosions. So even using 2 Arcane Explosions, I still have about 300 mana. Now be careful, you don't want to get too close to this fence while this guy's running around, because he's going to mess you up. Okay, which is another reason we don't run too far away. Okay, so the next one, we're going to pull this guy first, and then we're going to run through, and we're going to run straight through these 2 guys, and we're going to pull this guy as well. So the 2 end ones, and then we're going to cut back into this guy, and then we're going to blink back into this area because we'll have pulled these 2 fellas, so they won't bug us too much. And see, I haven't used a potion or a mana agate yet. Those are just for pretty much for emergencies if you have my stats. And I usually don't even have to get to full mana, but it's kind of greedy, but for the sake of the video. So we're going to pull this guy with that. You can actually throw a level 1 Frostbolt at him if you want him to run slower, but they shouldn't slow you as long as your shield is up. So pull him, run back into these 2. I'm going to go an Ice Block because this guy's kind of far, so we're going to take less damage here. Okay, you want to time their attacks right there whenever most of them just hit you, for whenever you exit Ice Block and freeze them. And then we'll run up here. I'm not going to be far enough away because I don't want this guy to target me. So this is where we'll use the level 1 Blizzard. That way we don't use as much mana, but we still get a little bit of slow and damage out waiting on our freeze. So we'll just kind of run. I'm going to let them come to me, group them up again. Then we're going to blink over to this area. You don't want to go over here because you have all of those. So you always blink to an area that you've already either lured or pulled. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and, since I used the level 1 Blizzard, this is where I'm going to use the 2nd level or high level Blizzard and then a Cone of Code to finish them off. You can just use a Cone of Code and Arcane Explosions. It's just your preference. I just like doing this because, I don't know, it's easy. And it's as simple as that. I'm not going to show you this last lure because there's actually 2 more. And for the sake of the length of the video, I don't feel like we need to go over it. But the next one, you'll lure these 4 and this guy. So what you'll do is you'll run into this guy and lure him with your wand. And then you'll just run up through these and then you'll blink back to this area right here. Because then there's nothing to stop you. And then the last lure is you'll run up into these guys, which I'll go ahead and show you how to lure these. When you're luring these on the end, you just want to, first we'll hit this guy, and then we'll hit this one, because the others will run at you while you're wanding those. And then you don't want to run too far over there. You just want to stop here. Freeze them, blink back over here. If you try to lure those 2, the one you got from this house is going to run back, and he's going to mess you up whenever you're trying to blizzard them from here, because he's going to run out and attack you. Okay, so I'm going to pop a health potion here. This is a good example of like when you might be in an emergency, since I didn't start at 4 mana, because now I'm going to use my evocation, which you can take advantage of this as well to kind of speed up some runs. Then we'll just use Cone of Code and a bunch of Arcane Explosions and probably die, to be honest, but that's okay. Good example of what not to do as well. That's a good example of why you want to be full mana, so that's perfectly fine. We'll go ahead and go over what I made for the hour. I started out at 18,988 XP, and keep in mind I only did this at about 3/4 efficiency because, you know, I'm messaging people and playing other games on the side. So I got right at about 30,000 experience, and I got 4.67 raw gold if you vendor everything, 67 silk, and 9 wool as well. So the 67 silk can add up to a little bit of extra gold in the auction house, or you can make your bandages and just vendor them. And that's about it. So thank you. I hope this helped a lot, and get to grinding.